Hi everyone, this is Saloni and today I'm making this video for my Flatiron project for Phase 3. This project is in Ruby with the React Frontend. So this project was really fun and exciting project for me, but at the same time it was challenging. I have to say that because this is my first ever full stack project. I'm really excited of how it all turned out to be, and the things that I learned in this is just amazing. And so I should get started with the demo first. So for my demo, I would show the React app first on how the things look, and then we'll talk about how it worked out in the Ruby and how we actually got the data and how things work out to be. So for the demo, this is a React app which is created using Create React App, and it has the banner, and then if you scroll down you can see all the different categories are being pulled in also, and just like you would in an actual Netflix app, you can scroll to them this way to see more, and it's pretty exciting, really exciting. And as you can see, Squid Games is here too. So when you click on a movie, it gives you options. It gives you that you can either play the movie's trailer, you can either leave a review for that movie, or see movie details and their reviews. These features are not really included in an actual Netflix app. Yes, you can see the trailer, but you can't really read or post reviews or read more about a movie um, until you click on that movie. It's basically the same concept, but it's like added reviews to it, and a little bit of an overview of that movie. So if I wanted to leave, well, I think I already have posted, but let's leave another review. So when you click on that leave review, it pulls out this tab where you can leave the comment. So I would say great show. Most of us have watched this show, and then you just submit it. It submits that review for us, and it's pretty great. You don't really have to go into movie details if you don't want to. You can just leave a review and be out. So you can click on this movie details. As you can see, you see the banner, you see a poster, and then you see another poster, and then you see a little bit about that movie, like what or show, what exactly that is. And then, oh well, I posted that. Oh, it's two different people. So as you can see, you can like those shows, just to show that this is actually not repeating. It's just me posting the same comment over and over. Um, let's go into the show, which has a one comment that we'll add to the list to watch. So you can like this comment. All these comments are posted by me today. Um, so let's go back here. So these are some of the features that are added. As to another feature that we were talking about is that you can actually play the trailer for that movie. Today my internet is not working as fast as I would have expected it to, so which may or may not affect the playing of this trailer. So let's see. Okay, so it is pulling up the video from the YouTube, but as you can see, it's trying to load. It does play on a normal day, but today the internet is really down, so it may not work. I apologize for that. Just want to make sure my earpods are connected. Okay. So I will just turn this off as this is not working right now, but this is basically how you can play a trailer on here too, which is pretty cool. So let's talk about how I got this information and how it got pulled in into this app. So for this project, like I said, it was mostly geared towards building a backend which connects to a front end and have somewhat working those requests that we want to be in the requirements for the project to be there using the React app. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So here I have my actual Ruby project that I was working on. So my first step to even get that information was that I didn't really have any of those movies data, so I absolutely got that from an API. There is an API. This is that API's website. You can go see that website. It's absolutely free, that API, so that makes things easier. Um, it does not have those videos. That is just another React package that I use to play those YouTube videos. But it does have the information for the actual data that I have presented there, like the poster, the images, and the overview. And so those things are pulled out from this API. So to get that information, I did have to get an API key. So you do need to require an API key for that. And this is the base URL. Since for this project, as you can see, I needed different information being pulled out from different categories, like I needed Netflix original, trending, top rated, action, comedy, horror, romance, or documentaries. So all those categories needed to be pulled out from a different links that were from that API. So because of those reasons, this was a lot more for this project than I first anticipated, but it all turned out great. It's the end result that matters. Um, so as you scroll down, you will see that there is a hash that I've created of all these requests, and then I have just iterated over that hash to get that data and then convert that into the JSON, get that response, convert it into JSON, and once you get that data, you can iterate over again. Just get the key that matches with the results, because that's where the information was, and now just get the value that is corresponding to those results, and then just get that at the index one. That's just how it worked out with how the API was structured. So I needed to get that from the results. Then after I got the array of the results of all the movies information, my next task was to actually create those in my database. So before I get to this part, it's very important that I talk about the actual classes. So when I worked with this project, now at this point I had to think that what classes would I need, what tables would I need in my database. So I created, um, let me show you right here. So these are all my models, as you can see, there are a lot of them. So basically, I needed a model for individual category just because of how this API was structured and how I had different information for each individual category. So, and each individual movie, I wanted it to have a corresponding comment section. So I created, for example, I have this action tab. So this is a class action which is inheriting from active record. So active record is a gem that is filled out with that does the SQL under the hood for us basically, and it's a life-saving thing. You no longer really have to do your SQL commands that can be repetitive on daily basis, but I do love SQL still, but this gets the job done faster than that. And so right here is the comment. So here I'm trying to create one to many relationship. So each action module model has many comments. So this is basically belongs to and has many is trying to show that connection of one to many. This is the macros that we use in Active Record, very helpful to create these relationships. And very cool. So I had to create that for each one of those categories just because of how it turned out to be. So for each of these models, I had to create a corresponding table. So if I have the action class over here, um, which is basically a table that is storing the information for all the movies that are under the category of action. So as we see in the seeds, those are being pulled right in here and then being stored in our table with this create method. So now the next task is um, to create those tables. So these are all the tables or adding columns. So for example, this one right here um, is done by creating those migrations by RigDB create migration name to equals to Netflix originals, and then it creates that table for you. You can also add columns if you forgot to. For example, in this particular one, I forgot to add the name category, which is how the API turned out to be. It was not an easy API to work with, as in the information, um, because some of them had original name and some of them had a name, some of them had original titles. So it all kind of was a little bit weird in that sense. So I had to work. So I needed all those in my database just so in my React app I can pull up the information. Either it's a name or a title, whatever is available would fill in that part of that movie. So that's how that functionality was created. And then we also have a comment. So if there was a Netflix table, there's a corresponding Netflix comments table, so which has a comment. It also has how many likes it has, and it has the foreign key, which connects it to its table. So this foreign key is a very crucial thing in here, which is basically saying that this comment really belongs to the Netflix original table. Um, so it's really cool. Next thing, so once we create those tables, we can also see them over here at the schema. We can see them all. And in the seeds file, I had to create, I try to create in such a way that I don't have to repeat the same code for each corresponding category. So I try to make an array, which then going over each array, trying to convert that into a class. So this is what I had to use to convert um, these into a class name. So this is class names that are corresponding to each individual category that's in the array, and it's basically in this condition checking by converting those keys that we have here, which is fetch Netflix original. So what it's doing for me right here is that key dot slice. So it's taking one key at a time, which is, let's say, this one. It's going to slice it from number 5, fifth index, to 16, which is the longest one that we have. So once I get that, it converts that into a class. So it's basically checking if this name is equals to this class, then I wanted to create an instance for that class. So now this is storing that Netflix original class here, and then it's creating this instance for me and then I use the rake db seed command to seed all the data into the database. So this is how the seeding of the information was done. Once the everything was seeded, then was an important part here, which is application controller class, which is inheriting from Sinatra base. Sinatra is basically like a web tool that helps creating all these get, patch, post, and all these web requests. Makes it really easier. It's basically doing rack under the hood for us. So it really makes things a lot easier than rack, because we don't have to like hardcode the rack anymore. So here I have created like get requests for Netflix originals, like getting that by ID, um, and using those active record methods to and converting that information to JSON. So here's that. And also for the comments as well. Here I'm also using the patch request to update those likes. So it's basically saying that when this path is reached and it's a get request, I want you to do this. So it's the same for all different categories. So now that we have that, let me show you how I actually accessed in my React app. Okay, so basically in my React tab, I had to create a different routes, but I also created this request.js file, which had these request information and category comments. So once I had those request and category comments, I exported them. And then in my app.js, I imported those requests and then passed down to each row with that specific URL. So as you can see, I no longer need to make a request from an actual API in my React app. I'm using an actual local host. So to create the server request, I had to, here we have this rake file, which is taking care of the server task for me. So every time I do a rake server command, it is going to run the server for me. So for example, right here, it's currently running the server. So right here, as you can see, it's getting all that information from all these different tables that we have or different links that we have set up. And let me pull this down. Okay. So for this React app, again, in the app.js file, so I posted that Netflix original to each one of those requests, and then it just basically got that fetch request, and in my row.js file, it's taking that URL for each individual category and basically creating those rows for me of different categories. Similarly, I also had that connection for the comments, and same thing by localhost, and it worked out that way for the comments as well. So we have these reviews here. I think it was in movie details. Yes. So that's really how the connections were set up with the front end to the back end. It was really interesting to me how all these things are connecting with each other. I did have some issues in between, which was like, for example, in my fetch request, I missed out a header, not a header, I missed out an S in the headers. So that caused some issue with the access. and I was not able to find out for a whole day because of all these files I had. That where is that information being wrong? Is it the back end? Is it the front end? What am I doing wrong? Nothing was helping. But then I just looked at my, when nothing else worked, I looked at the fetch request again, and there it was, the headers was said header, not headers. So that's where the issue was. But it happened to me a couple more times because of the syntax errors, and I think it happens to all of us that we all get into these issues. But this was a really fun project, and I do intend to add more features as I go. Um, and we'll see what happens in the next phase. And I'm really excited to learn Rails. For the front end, however, the layout and the CSS was followed through by a tutorial on YouTube to create these banners and how this layout is. It was by a YouTube channel, Clever Programming, is how they created this page, which was really, really cool and interesting to see how it all worked out. So I did have that advantage of being able to follow the tutorial through and get these CSS working correctly, um, which was really cool. But I did add more my features like leaving comments, adding the comments, or and other things. It was really fun project for me to make, and I hope to make more in the near future and hopefully post them on YouTube as well. Thanks for watching.